I want you to picture a scenario. It's late, maybe 11:00 p.m. You're sitting there in the dark, and the only light in the room is just the glow from your laptop screen.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. And you've just spent, what, 3 hours tweaking a cover letter, adjusting the margins on your resume for the 10th time. You take this deep breath, you hover the mouse over that submit button, and you click it.
And then what happens?
And it's just silence. Absolute crushing silence. You're just staring at the screen. Maybe, if you're lucky, you get an automated email 3 seconds later that says, "Thank you for your submission."
But you know.
You know deep down. You know you just threw a message in a bottle into the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
That's what people call the black hole. Right.
The black hole. It is the most terrifying place in the modern universe. And if you're looking for a job right now, or even, just thinking about it, that's silence. That's the stuff of nightmares.
It is terrifying, but I would argue it's also mathematically predictable. If you are doing what everyone else is doing, what we sometimes call the spray and pray method, you are voluntarily entering that black hole.
You're choosing to play a losing game.
You're choosing to rely on a system that is, well, it's fundamentally broken for the job seeker.
Which is exactly why today's deep dive is going to feel a little bit like we're handing you a stick of dynamite to just blow that whole system up.
I like that image. A necessary demolition.
We are digging into Guerrilla Marketing for Job Hunters 2.0. It's a book by Conrad Levinson and David E. Perry. And we aren't just talking about, polishing your resume or using action verbs.
Yeah, no, this is not that kind of advice.
This is a complete tactical overhaul of how you view your entire career.
And to really get why this matters, you have to understand the pedigree here. Conrad Levinson is a legend. I mean, people call him the father of guerrilla marketing.
He invented the term.
He literally invented the concept, the idea that small businesses can use unconventional, high-energy tactics to beat giant corporations. He wrote the playbook.
And his co-author, David E. Perry, who is he?
He's the insider, the guy on the other side of the table. He's a headhunter, a top-tier recruiter. And we're not talking about a guy who just sifts through resumes. This is someone who has negotiated, get this, over $174 million in salaries.
Wow.
He knows where the bodies are buried. He knows exactly why your resume gets deleted before a human being ever even lays eyes on it.
So you've got this combination of the marketing genius and the, for lack of a better word, the ruthless headhunter.
Right. And they team up, and their main argument is simple, but it's kind of insulting to how a lot of us were raised to think about work.
What's the argument?
They say finding a job is not an administrative task. It's not about filling out forms. It is a sales campaign.
A sales and marketing campaign.
Exactly. And in this campaign, you are not a person looking for a job. You are a product looking for a market.
That feels, I don't know, a little cold, a little dehumanizing.
It does feel cold at first, but if you lean into it, it's actually incredibly liberating. Because if you're a product, well, you can brand yourself. You can market yourself. You don't have to just sit on a shelf and wait for permission to be bought.
You can go out and create the demand.
Create the demand. That's the whole game.
So the mission for this deep dive is to shift your mindset from being a passive job seeker, which, when you think about it, implies asking or begging to, becoming an aggressive, proactive guerrilla marketer.
Right.
We've got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to talk about the huge economic shifts that made the old rules die. And we're also going to get into some really specific, almost spy tactics for finding the people who can actually hire you.
And we're going to do a little bit of math.
Yes, we are going to do some math. I promise it won't be painful. But first, we have to set the stage. We have to really understand the new battlefield. Why doesn't the old way work? Why can't I just send my resume to HR and wait for the phone to ring?
To answer that, you have to look at the economy. And I don't mean looking at the stock market ticker for the day. I mean the deep structural shift we've undergone in the last 30 or 40 years.
Okay.
We moved from an economy based on natural resources and manufacturing to what everyone now calls a knowledge-based economy.
Right, the knowledge economy. We hear that phrase all the time. But what does that actually mean for, say, the guy trying to get hired as a project manager today?
It changes everything. It changes the entire nature of employment and, more importantly, the nature of a recession. Let's do a little time travel. Let's say it's 1970. You work at a factory that makes, I don't know, toasters.
Okay, I'm on the assembly line, putting together toasters. It's a good, steady job.
It's a good, steady job. Now, the economy takes a dip. People get nervous. They start buying new toasters. What happens at the factory?
The warehouse starts to fill up with unsold toasters.
The warehouse fills up with inventory. The boss blows the whistle and says, "Sorry, everyone, we have too many toasters. We have to lay you off for a while. Go home."
So I go home. I collect unemployment. And I wait.
You wait. But here is the absolute key, in the back of your mind, that eventually people's old toasters will break. They will need new ones.
The demand will come back.
The demand will return, and when it does, the boss blows a whistle again, you go back to the factory, you stand in the exact same spot on the line, and you do the exact same job. That is a cyclical recession. It's like a pause button.
Right. It rains for a while, but you know the sun is going to come out again.
Exactly. Now, let's fast forward to today. A big tech company lays off 1,000 accountants, or a bank lays off 1,000 customer service reps.
Okay.
It's not because they have too much inventory of accounting. It's because they found a new software program that does the accounting cheaper and faster. Or they found a team in Bangalore or the Philippines that does the customer service for 1/10 of the price.
So when the economy recovers and the company starts growing again,
The job doesn't come back. It's gone. The company's profits go up, their stock price soars, but that specific role, it's extinct. It has been permanently offshored or automated away.
that is the fundamental difference. We aren't in a cycle anymore. We're in a constant rolling transformation.
And the authors, they have a name for this. They call it de-jobbing. It's a term they borrow from an author named William Bridges.
De-jobbing.
The idea is that the traditional, permanent, 40-hour-a-week job, the one with benefits and a pension and a gold watch at the end, it's an endangered species. It's becoming a historical artifact.
There was a statistic in the source material that it really hammered this home for me. It said something like 20 to 40 million Americans change jobs every single year.
Every year. And it's not just jobs. The average person today will have 5 to 6 careers in their lifetime.
Not just jobs in the same field, entirely different careers.
Totally different fields. You might be a journalist for 10 years, then a data analyst, then a sustainable farmer. The idea of a single ladder you climb for 40 years is gone.
So if that's true, the whole idea of job security that a company provides is it's a myth.
It's an illusion we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
The only security that exists now is your personal ability to market and sell your skills. Because from the employer's perspective, you are human capital.
You're a line item on a spreadsheet.
You are a variable cost. And if you aren't actively generating more value than you cost them, you are a risk. You're a liability.
And in this economy, companies are absolutely terrified of risk.
Deeply risk-averse. You hear that phrase, the war for talent. It's real, but people misunderstand it. It's not a war for all talent. It's a war for the best talent.
The top 10%.
Exactly. If you are average or worse, if your job can be broken down into a simple checklist of tasks, you are in the danger zone.
So let's define that danger zone a little more clearly. According to the book, what kinds of jobs are safe and what kinds of jobs are basically doomed?
The rule of thumb is this. If your job's core functions can be learned in less than a week, it's probably doomed. If your job can be done entirely over a computer screen without any need for unique human judgment or relationship building, it's doomed.
Because that can be offshored or automated?
Easily. Think data entry, basic transcription, level 1 tech support. Those are all on the chopping block.
So what's safe?
Yeah.
What can't be shipped overseas or turned into an algorithm?
The authors call it the intangible win. These are jobs that are high touch, high trust, or physically location specific.
Okay, give me some examples.
The energy sector. You can't offshore a power grid or an oil rig. Preventive health care, especially with aging baby boomers. You can't automate a nurse providing compassionate care.
High touch.
Exactly. Security, both physical and cyber, is huge post 9/11. Government jobs are generally stable. And then there's this broad category of anything that requires complex relationship management and persuasion.
So sales, high-level consulting, leadership.
Things where trust and nuance are the actual product.
Okay, so the battlefield has changed. The terrain is hostile, it's unpredictable. We can't just march in straight lines anymore. And this is where we get to the title of the book. We have to be guerrillas.
Right.
What does that actually mean in this context? Because when I hear guerrilla, I think of, soldiers in camouflage, hiding in the jungle, setting traps.
Well, that military definition actually applies almost perfectly here. In warfare, a guerrilla force is small. They're outnumbered. They don't have the tanks, the jets, or the unlimited budget of the regular army.
They're the underdog.
They're the underdog. And if they tried to fight a conventional battle, standing in an open field in straight lines and shooting, they would be absolutely slaughtered in minutes.
So they have to fight differently. They have to cheat, basically.
I wouldn't wouldn't say cheat. I'd say they adapt. They use surprise. They use speed. They use superior intelligence and knowledge of the local terrain. They attack where the enemy, or in our case, the target company, least expects it.
And the book says the biggest weapon in this whole guerrilla arsenal is something called the force multiplier effect.
This is my favorite concept in the entire book. It's a game changer if you really understand it.
Okay, so explain it to us. What is a force multiplier?
A force multiplier is a military discipline. It's a tactic, or a combination of tactics, that makes a small force fight like a much larger army. It's about creating synergy.
Okay.
Think about it. Most job seekers are completely linear. They operate one step at a time. Okay, on Monday, I'll send a resume. If I don't hear back by Friday, I guess I'll send another one.
It's very polite. It's very orderly. One thing at a time.
It's orderly and it's completely ineffective. The force multiplier effect means you hit the target from every single angle simultaneously. You don't just send a resume. You create an environment where, for a short period of time, you are everywhere.
This sounds intense.
It is.
Yeah.
The book has this perfect case study that illustrates it. The story of two guys named Prail and Xander. So these two guys, they were senior executives, and they got laid off after their company was acquired. A pretty common story.
So the standard advice would be what? Update your LinkedIn profile, call a few headhunters, and then wait by the phone.
And hope. They did not do that. They treated their unemployment not as a crisis, but as a startup launch.
Their own startup. We're fired, Inc.
Basically, first, they created a target list. They called it their kill list. It was 38 companies that they specifically wanted to work for. And then they decided to hit all 38 of them with a shock and awe campaign.
Okay, walk us through the campaign. Let's say I'm a hiring manager at one of these 38 companies. What does my week look like?
Okay, great. It's Tuesday morning. You get to your desk, and there is a physical, high-quality envelope on your chair. Maybe it was sent by FedEx. It's a guerrilla resume from, say, Mr. Prail. It's not a normal resume. It's something creative and memorable.
Okay, so he's on my physical desk. I'm intrigued.
Then you open your email. And sitting at the top of your inbox is an email from him with a link to his digital portfolio. Later that morning, you go to your favorite industry blog to catch up on the news.
Huh?
And the top story is a guest post written by Prail on the future of the industry. So now he's an expert. You go to lunch with a colleague from another department, and your colleague says, "Hey, have you heard about these two guys, Prail and Xander? Their story is all over the industry news."
Wow. It feels like the universe is conspiring to make me pay attention to them.
That's the force multiplier. It's creating that conspiracy. They didn't stop there. They launched their own websites. They started a podcast discussing their job search. They issued actual press releases about their own availability.
That's audacious. A press release saying, I'm available for hire.
It created so much buzz that they stopped looking like applicants and they started looking like, I don't know, local celebrities or thought leaders.
What was the end result of all this?
The final tally was 18 interviews and 7 solid job offers.
From a list of 38 targets. That's an incredible conversion rate.
Incredible. And here's the kicker, the most guerrilla part of it all. They spent $0. How? Free web hosting, free blogging platforms, their own ingenuity. It was all sweat, equity, and creativity.
And that really gets to the core of it. Guerrilla is not about spending money. It's about spending focused energy and imagination.
Precisely. And the key is simultaneity. You cannot do this piecemeal. If you send a resume on Monday and then try to connect on LinkedIn 2 weeks later, the momentum is gone. It's a dud. You have to be a tidal wave that crashes over them all at once.
That's a great digital example. But the book also has this amazing war story, a much more physical, boots-on-the-ground approach that I absolutely love. It's the story of the carpenter, Gary Smith.
Ah, yes. This is a story about pure, unadulterated audacity.
So set the scene for us.
Gary is a carpenter, a skilled tradesman. He's out of work, he needs money, the bills are piling up, he doesn't go to the classified ads or a job board.
What does he do?
He gets in his truck and he just drives around town until he sees a big construction site, a place with a lot of activity.
He just picks one at random.
He picks a site. The next morning, he shows up at 7 a.m. sharp. He's got his tool belt on, his hard hat, his lunchbox. He looks the part. He walks right past the gate, finds a crew that's working, and he just starts working.
Wait, he doesn't check in at the foreman's trailer. He doesn't ask for a job.
Nothing. He sees a guy hauling a stack of 2x4s. He grabs a stack and helps him. He sees a team framing a wall. He pulls out his hammer and starts nailing. He just blends in.
I have to imagine the foreman's going to be a little confused.
Well, the foreman shows up about an hour later, does his rounds, And he sees this guy he doesn't recognize. He walks over and says, "Hey, who are you?" And Gary just says, "I'm Gary." The foreman says, "Look, I didn't hire Gary. We aren't hiring right now. You can't be here. Go home."
And that's the moment where 99.9% of people would say, okay, sorry to bother you. And they'd leave with their tail between their legs.
Right. And Gary says, "Okay." And he leaves. But what happens the next morning?
He's back.
7 a.m. Gary is back, tool belt on, already working.
This is getting really awkward.
The foreman sees him again. He's a little more annoyed this time. "Hey, I told you yesterday we are not hiring. Get off this site. Go home." Gary leaves. Day 3, Gary is back again.
At this point, I'm thinking about calling the police if I'm the foreman. This is basically trespassing.
It's definitely bordering on it for sure. The authors even add a disclaimer about that. But day 4 comes, and sure enough, 7 a.m., Gary's there, working away. The foreman storms over, his face is red, he's ready to just explode. And before he can even start screaming, Gary looks him right in the eye and says something absolutely brilliant.
What does he say?
He says, "Look, I'm a Class A carpenter. You know it. You've been watching my work for 4 days. You know I'm good. I'm unemployed, and I have nothing better to do, so I'm going to be here every single morning at 7 a.m. until you either hire me or you have me physically thrown off the site."
That is a high-stakes showdown. That's putting all your chips on the table.
It's the ultimate power move, and the foreman just stopped. He was stunned. He looked at the quality of Gary's work. He looked at his attitude, this incredible persistence, and he just said, "You're hired."
And the story goes on that Gary eventually became a foreman himself at that company.
He did. Now, we have to put a big disclaimer here.
A very big one.
Please do not go to a construction site today and start operating heavy machinery without being an employee. You will get sued or arrested or both.
Right. The world has changed. There are insurance liabilities. But the spirit of the story is the key takeaway.
Exactly. Gary did not send a piece of paper that said, "I am a hard worker." He showed up and worked hard. He demonstrated his value first. He proved he was the solution to a problem before he ever asked for a paycheck. That is the core of the guerrilla mindset.
It transitions perfectly into the next big concept from the book, which is this idea of you Inc. You had to stop thinking of yourself as an employee and start thinking like a business.
Yes, you are a service provider. The employer is your client. You're a business of one. And like any good business, you need a brand.
You can't be a generic, no-name product. You have to be Nike.
You have to be Nike. Employers don't buy generic employees. They buy brands they trust. And the authors talk about branding in a very literal, visual way. They have this tactic involving logos.
This one I found really interesting, the halo effect.
It's a brilliant psychological trick. Let's say 5 years ago, you worked at, or even just did one successful project for a big name company, let's say Microsoft. Or maybe you sold software to Coca-Cola.
Okay.
They say you should put the Microsoft or Coca-Cola logo on your resume, right there in the margin, next to the description of that experience.
Is that allowed? It
Cool.
feels like you're stealing their trademark.
Why wouldn't it be? You're not claiming you own the company. You're using it as a factual signifier of the relationship. And here's what happens psychologically. A recruiter is scanning a pile of 100 resumes. Their eye hits your paper, they see that iconic red Coca-Cola logo, and instantly, subconsciously, their brain associates you with that level of quality and success.
It gives you instant credibility by association. It makes you look like a premium product before they've even read a single word of your accomplishments.
Exactly. You look like a heavy hitter. It's a visual shortcut to building prestige.
But of course, a brand is more than just some flashy logos. It's about the actual value you bring to the table. And the book introduces what it calls a new value table. They argue that employers aren't just buying your skills anymore.
No, skills are becoming commodities. I can teach almost anyone to use a specific software program in a weekend on YouTube. What I can't teach them is qualities. I can't teach character.
So what's on this new value table? What are these qualities?
One of the biggest ones is bias toward action.
Okay, that sounds like a corporate buzzword. What does it actually mean when you're in an interview?
It means you don't sit around waiting to be told what to do. In the old economy, the ideal employee was an order taker. You waited for the boss's instructions. In the new economy, things move way too fast for that.
So how does that play out?
If you're in an interview and the hiring manager says, "We're having this major problem with our supply chain," the wrong answer, the old economy answer is, "Well, I would gather my team and wait for further instructions from my superiors."
That sounds safe. but weak.
It sounds weak. The guerrilla answer, the bias toward action answer is, I would immediately analyze the data to identify the primary bottleneck, implement a small-scale pilot program to test a potential solution, and have the initial results on your desk by Friday.
You're showing initiative. You're a problem solver, not a problem waiter.
Exactly. Another one on the list is passion, which can feel kind of fluffy. The book calls it fire in the belly.
Yeah, how do you prove passion on a resume?
You don't. You prove it in the interview, in your energy. And it's not fluffy. It's actually deeply economic. A passionate rookie who is hungry to learn will outwork and outperform a bored, cynical expert 7 days a week.
And twice on Sunday.
Right. The authors use this great analogy of Chris Daughtry from American Idol.
Oh yeah, the rock singer.
Right. He didn't win the show. He came in fourth, I think. But he was by far the most successful artist to come out of that season. Why? Because he had the brand, the attitude, and the hunger. Employers hire for hunger. They can teach the skills.
There's one more concept in this branding section I really want to unpack because it feels very counterintuitive to the old way of thinking. It's relationship intelligence, or RI.
This is the absolute opposite of the old guard mentality. Think about it. In the old days, how did you guarantee your job security?
You became indispensable. You were the only person in the whole company who knew how that one critical machine worked, or where the files were kept. You hoarded knowledge.
You became the keeper of the keys, the human bottleneck. Your motto was, if you fire me, this whole place grinds to a halt.
That seems like a smart strategy.
In 1985, it was. In 2026, it is a death sentence. If you hoard information today, you are not indispensable. You are a roadblock. You slow everything down. The company sees you as a risk.
So what's the alternative? What is relationship intelligence?
It's about sharing. It's about being a hub, a connector. It's the ability to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that question, but I know the perfect person in the accounting department who does. Let me connect you to right now.
So your value isn't in what you keep locked in your own brain. It's in what you can access and distribute throughout the organization.
Exactly. Your network is your value. Employers don't want gatekeepers anymore. They want hubs of collaboration.
Okay, so this makes a lot of sense. We have the guerrilla mindset. We have our brand as You Inc. Now we need to get very specific about the product itself. What are we actually selling? This brings us to section 4, the tactical drill.
Right. And this is where most people fail right out of the gate. They try to be a Swiss Army knife. They tell employers, oh, I can do anything. I can write code, I can manage people, I can do graphic design, I can balance the books.
And the employer hears, so you're a master of absolutely nothing.
Exactly. You look like a generalist with no deep expertise. You have to narrow your focus. And the book suggests a very simple but powerful exercise to do this. They call it the marketable skills exercise.
It's like a Venn diagram.
It's a simple two-circle Venn diagram. In the first circle, you take out a piece of paper and you write down absolutely everything you are good at. And I mean everything. Work skills, hobbies, personal talents, negotiating with vendors, coding in Python, organizing incredible birthday parties, calming down angry toddlers.
Anything you have a talent for. Okay, what's in the second circle?
The second circle is everything you genuinely enjoy doing. What activities make you lose track of time? What gives you energy instead of draining it?
And the sweet spot, the marketable skills, are the things that appear in the intersection of those two circles.
It has to be both. This is so critical. If you are really, really good at something, but you secretly hate it, let's say you're a brilliant tax accountant, but the work makes you want to cry.
Yeah.
Do not market that skill.
Why not? You'll get the job.
You will get the job, and you will be miserable. You will burn out in 6 months and be right back where you started. You have to find the skills that are both valuable and sustainable for you personally.
Okay, so you've identified those core skills. Now comes the hard part. The part that I think scares a lot of people, especially if they're in more creative or soft skill roles. Quantification.
The math.
The book is ruthless about this. It says you have to prove every claim you make with cold, hard numbers. And this is where I can just hear listeners saying, but I'm not in sales. I don't have a quota. I'm a teacher or a receptionist or a graphic designer. How do I find a number?
Everyone, and I want to repeat that, everyone has a number. You just have to learn how to find it. And the tool for that is what the authors call the so what test.
Okay, let's role play this. I want to see this in action. Let's try to find a number for a classic soft job. Let's say I'm a receptionist at a busy law firm.
Perfect. Okay, you're writing your resume. Your first draft of a bullet point probably says what?
Responsible for answering phones and managing the front desk.
Okay, I'm the hiring manager. I read that and I say out loud, so what?
Oh, that's a bit rude. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, okay. Um, so what is that? I made sure the calls from potential clients went to the right lawyers quickly.
So what?
Well, the guy who had the job before me was a total mess. People were waiting on hold for 10 minutes. They were getting frustrated and hanging up. I implemented a new system and got the average wait time down to under 30 seconds.
Okay. Now we have a real metric, time. Reduced client wait time by 95%. That's already 100 times better. But I'm a guerrilla manager. I'm going to push you further. So what? Why does the owner of the law firm care about client wait times?
Because angry people on hold hang up. And if they hang up, they take their legal case to another firm.
Bingo. Now we are talking about what really matters, money. Do you have any idea what an average new client is worth to your firm?
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, a single new client is worth about $5,000 in fees.
Okay. And before you fix the phone system, how many of those angry hangups were happening in a typical week?
I don't know, maybe 5 people a week just gave up.
Okay, now do the math with me. 5 potential clients a week times $5,000 per client. That's $25,000 a week in lost potential revenue.
A week. Wow.
Now multiply that by, say, 50 working weeks in a year.
That's $1,250,000? That can't be right.
That's the math. So on your resume, do you write answered phones? No. You write implemented a new call routing protocol that recovered an estimated $1.2 million in potential annual revenue by reducing client abandonment.
That sounds absolutely insane when you say it out loud. It feels like I'm making it up. But the logic is actually sound.
It is the language of business.
Sure.
And even if you want to be super conservative and cut that number by 90%, you can still say you saved the firm over $100,000, and that changes the conversation completely. You are no longer an expense on the payroll that costs them $40,000 a year. You are a profit center. You're an investment that yields a 200% return.
That's powerful. What about the time-saved formula? That seems like a good shortcut for jobs that are purely internal.
That's the universal backup plan. Anyone can use this. Let's say you created a new filing system that saves your boss 5 hours a week of searching for documents.
Okay.
First, figure out your boss's approximate hourly rate. Let's say they make $200,000 a year, so that's roughly $100 an hour. Multiply that by the 5 hours you save them each week. That's $500 a week. Multiply that by 52 weeks.
That's $26,000 a year.
Exactly. So your resume bullet point isn't organized files. It's developed a new workflow system that saved the company $26,000 annually in executive time.
It just proves you understand the bottom line. It proves you get that time is money.
It proves you think like an owner, not just an employee.
Okay, this is fantastic. So we have a killer quantified product. We know what we're selling. Now we need to find the buyer. And this brings us to Section 5, intelligence gathering.
Or, as the book calls it, cracking the hidden job market.
Right, which always sounds so mysterious, like a secret society with a special handshake.
It's not that mysterious. It's just about timing. The hidden job market is simply the collection of jobs that exist in a hiring manager's head before they get around to telling HR to post an official ad.
It's the pre-advertising window.
Precisely. Jobs are created for one of 3 reasons. 1, growth. We're expanding and need more people. 2, vacancy. Bob just quit. We need to replace him. Or 3, replacement. We need to secretly fire Bob, so we need to find his replacement first.
And in all 3 of those scenarios, the direct hiring manager knows about the need weeks or even months before the public does.
And that is your window of opportunity. If you can get to that manager in that window, you have 0 competition. There's no stack of 200 resumes on their desk. It's just you and them having a conversation about their problem.
So how on earth do we find them? This is where the book gets into some serious spy stuff.
It's all about competitive intelligence. One of the simplest tactics is to just watch a company's main competitors. Let's say you want to work for Coca-Cola in Chicago, but they have no job postings. You look at Pepsi, and you see that Pepsi is hiring 10 new sales reps in Chicago. What does that tell you?
Tells me the soft drink market in Chicago is hot. There's a battle going on.
Exactly. So Coke might be feeling the pressure, but they just haven't posted their own ads yet. So you call the sales manager at Coke and you say, I see your competition is making a big push in the Chicago market. Do you have the team you need to hold the line?
That is incredibly aggressive.
Yeah.
And smart.
It's guerrilla.
Let's talk about the Google hacks. Because the book makes a great point that most people are using Google completely wrong in their job search.
They are. They're typing marketing manager jobs New York. And what does that get you?
It gets you links to Indeed, Monster.com, LinkedIn Jobs.
The exact same places that millions of other people are looking. It sends you right to the front door of the black hole.
So what should we be searching for instead?
You need to stop searching for the jobs and start searching for the people. You want to find lists of decision makers.
Okay, give us an example. A specific search string I can use today.
Okay, try this one. Go to Google and type, in quotes, association of, then add your industry. So Association of Civil Engineers, then add member directory, then add your city. And here's the trick. Add filetype.pdf.
Why filetype.pdf?
Because organizations almost never post their member directories as regular web pages. They're almost always PDFs that you can download.
So if I type Association of Advertising Professionals plus New York plus member directory plus filetype.pdf,
You're very likely going to get a document with the names, companies, emails, and sometimes even the direct phone numbers of every top advertising executive in New York City.
and these people are not expecting to get a job application.
No, they're not. So you don't email them saying, "Dear sir, please find my resume attached." That's an instant delete. You email them as a peer. "Hi, Ms. Johnson. I see you're a fellow member of the association. I'm currently researching the top firms in the city, and I would love to get your 15-minute perspective on the latest industry trends."
You're not asking for a job. You're asking for advice. You're networking.
You're engaging them. Another great one is to search for conference, plus your industry, plus attendee list. Find out who attended the big industry conference last month. Those are the companies with money to spend and an interest in growth.
And once you've found the name, let's say you've identified the VP of marketing at your dream company, the research doesn't stop there.
Never. You don't just email them, "Dear Ms. Johnson." You professionally stalk them. You Google their name. Did they recently write an article? Did their company just win an award? Did they give a quote to a trade publication?
You need a hook for your opening line.
Your opening sentence absolutely has to be about them, not you. "Dear Ms. Johnson, I just read your excellent article in Adweek about the future of programmatic advertising, and your point about data privacy was fascinating."
It immediately proves you aren't a robot spamming 100 people. It proves you did your homework.
And it triggers a powerful psychological principle.
Yeah.
The law of reciprocity. You gave them your attention and respect first. Now they feel a slight obligation to give you theirs in return.
The authors wrap up this whole intelligence strategy with what they call the 3 R's.
Research, relevancy, and resiliency. Research is what we just talked about. Knowing more about the company and its problems than they might even know about themselves.
Relevancy.
Relevancy is making sure your pitch solves their specific pain. Always frame your skills in terms of how you can make the money, save them money, or increase their efficiency.
And resiliency. Well, that's about surviving the inevitable no.
That's the mental game. We'll get to that in a bit. But first, we have to touch on the modern extension of all this, social media. The book calls it leaving digital breadcrumbs.
It's such a good metaphor.
Think about it this way. The moment you are scheduled for an interview, what is the very first thing the interviewer does?
They Google you 100% of the time.
Guaranteed. So what do they find? If they find nothing, that's a huge red flag now. If you don't have a digital footprint, you might as well not exist. You look like a ghost, or like you have something to hide. You're a risk.
The book uses another great analogy for this, the gorilla thumping its chest in the jungle.
Right. The sound of the thumping arrives long before the animal itself does. Your professional reputation online should arrive before you ever walk in the door.
So how do we thump our chest online without just being annoying or bragging?
It's not about posting selfies or inspirational quotes. It's about demonstrating subject matter expertise. Let's take LinkedIn. Most people treat it like a static digital resume. That's a huge mistake.
What should you be doing instead?
You need to join the groups where people in your industry actually hang out and talk shop. Find the top 3 or 4 groups for your profession.
And then what? Just lurk?
No, you participate. If you are that database expert we talked about earlier, and someone in a group for SQL developers asks a really tough question about database optimization, you jump in and you solve their problem publicly, for free.
So when a recruiter searches for SQL experts, they don't just find your profile, they find a long thread of you actively helping 10 other people solve their problems.
Exactly. You are demonstrating your value before you ever ask for anything. The same goes for blogs. Find the top 5 blogs in your industry, read them religiously, and then leave thoughtful, insightful comments.
Not just great posts.
Never great post. Leave a comment that says, "This is an interesting point, but have you considered how this would be affected by the new regulations in the EU?" You add to the conversation.
And eventually the author of that blog, who is probably an influencer in your field, is going to click on your name to see who this smart, engaged person is.
That's the side door into their network.
Let's shift from the digital world to the physical. Let's talk about offline networking and the book's dating analogy.
This is a harsh but very true insight. Job hunting is exactly like dating. Where do the best, most successful relationships usually come from?
Referrals. A friend setting you up with their other friend. Hey, you should meet Sarah. She's great.
Exactly, a warm introduction. And the same is true for jobs. The best opportunities come from referrals. But there's a huge catch.
And the catch is?
The catch is what the book calls the embarrassment factor. I will not set you up with my boss or my most important client if I have even the slightest suspicion that you are going to make me look bad.
If I'm desperate, or I smell weird, or I'm just socially awkward.
Or even if you're just relentlessly negative. If you're the kind of person who's going to spend 20 minutes complaining about your last boss, I am not letting you anywhere near my professional network. Your failure reflects on my judgment.
So before you can even get a referral, you have to prove to your network that you are safe.
You have to prove you are a polished professional. And to do that, you need to be brave enough to ask for honest feedback. The book suggests a really tough but powerful question to ask your trusted friends and former colleagues.
What's the question?
You ask them two things. What do you think I do really well professionally? And be honest, if I could do one thing better, what would it be?
Oof, that's a vulnerable question. You have to be ready for an answer you might not like.
You have to be. Because if 3 different friends say, well, you have a tendency to talk over people, or your interview clothes are a little outdated, or you sound really cynical lately, that's gold. That is the real reason they aren't referring you for jobs.
It takes a thick skin, which is a perfect segue into the final and maybe the most important section of the book, psychological warfare.
It truly is a war. And the biggest and most important battle is the one that happens between your own ears.
The primary enemy in that battle is rejection. And the fear of rejection leads to one of the biggest traps that the authors identify. They call it confusing activity versus results.
Oh, this is the classic procrastination trap. Everyone falls into this.
I feel this one in my bones.
It looks like this. You sit down at your desk at 9 a.m. and you decide you're going to work on your job hunt for 8 hours. So you spend 2 hours reorganizing the files on your desktop. You spend another hour color-coding your spreadsheet of job applications. You rewrite your resume for the 50th time.
You feel really busy. You're checking things off a list.
You are busy, but you are not being productive. Because at the end of that 8-hour day, you haven't made a single ask. You haven't risked a single no. You've done a lot of work that is perfectly safe from rejection.
It's fear disguised as productivity.
That's all it is. The rule should be you measure your day by the number of contacts made, not the number of hours spent. Did you send the outreach letter? Did you pick up the phone and make the call? If the answer is no, then you did nothing of consequence that day.
So how do we build the mental toughness to actually make those calls? Because hearing no over and over again it sucks. It's draining.
It does. It's awful. But you have to learn to reframe it. A no is not a personal verdict on your worth as a human being. It's just a data point. It's a not today or a not the right fit. It's information, not an indictment.
The authors talk about the importance of self-talk, using affirmations like, I interview well, I make companies money. It sounds a little cheesy, a bit Stuart Smalley looking in the mirror.
It might feel cheesy when you're saying it to yourself, but it is absolutely essential. Because if you walk into an interview thinking, please God, I hope they like me, I really need this job, I'm desperate, you will radiate an energy of fear.
Yeah.
Humans can smell desperation and they recoil from it.
It's just like the dating analogy again. Desperation is the ultimate turnoff.
It's the ultimate turnoff. But if you walk in having programmed your brain to think, I am a $1.2 million asset. I am the solution to their problem. They would be lucky to have me. You project a quiet confidence that is incredibly attractive. You have to influence your own brain before you can ever hope to influence theirs.
And you need to have the right team around you while you do this. The book makes a brilliant distinction between sympathizers and supporters.
This is a huge one. It's so important. A sympathizer is a friend you call after a bad interview. And they say, oh, that's terrible. It's not your fault. The economy is rigged. Your old boss was a jerk. That interviewer sounds like an idiot. Let's go get a beer and complain about how unfair the world is.
And that feels really good in the moment. It's validating.
It feels like a warm, comfortable blanket. But that blanket keeps you on the couch. It validates your sense of victimhood and keeps you stuck. You need to avoid sympathizers during a job search. You need supporter.
So what does the supporter say instead?
A supporter listens to your story and says, wow, that really sucks that you didn't get it. I know you're disappointed and you have a right to be. But you are talented. You are good at what you do. So what's the plan for tomorrow? Let's run through your pitch for that other company right now. I'll play the hiring manager.
They don't let you wallow. They push you back into action. You want a coach, not a crutch.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. The economic shift, the force multiplier effect, personal branding, quantifying your value, the spy tactics for intelligence gathering, and the psychological warfare.
Well,
Let's zoom out. If there's one big overarching takeaway from all of this, what is it?
the takeaway is that the safety net is gone. The era of the job with capital J, the idea that you show up, you do what you're told, you pledge loyalty to a company, and in return, they take care of you for 30 years. That social contract is broken. It's over. It's dead.
That sounds incredibly depressing.
It's only depressing if you're still trying to play by the old rules. If you're passive, if you embrace the new rules, it's actually incredibly exciting because it means you are now the CEO of your own career. You are you, Inc. You get to choose your clients. You get to set your own value.
But you have to do the work. The guerrilla part is not optional.
You have to do the work. Guerrilla is an active verb. It means aggressive. It means strategic. It means you stop waiting for the world to give you permission to succeed.
And that leads to the final thought that really just blew my mind when I was reading through this. We are all trained to think of jobs as these fixed, pre-existing slots. There's a hole in the company's org chart that's shaped like a project manager, and my job is to contort myself to fit perfectly into that hole.
Right. You're filling a vacancy. But the authors argue that the best jobs, the dream jobs, the six-figure plus opportunities, they often don't exist until you show up.
Explain what that means.
It means that if you execute this guerrilla strategy perfectly, if you do the research, identify a company's deep and expensive pain point, quantify the cost of that pain, and then present yourself as the unique, specific, custom-built solution, a smart company will often create a role for you that didn't exist yesterday.
So you walk in and say, you're losing $2 million a year because of X. And they say, we didn't even know that. We didn't know we needed a vice president of X prevention. But looking at your proposal, we realized we can't afford not to hire you.
That is the ultimate victory. You don't just find a job opening. You become so valuable that you will in opportunity into existence. That is the final level of the guerrilla job hunter.
So to everyone listening right now, stop staring at the black hole. Stop tweaking the font size on your resume for the 11th time. Do the math. Find the pain. And start your force multiplier campaign today.
You're the product, now go out and sell it.